You're listening to a special presentation from Night of the Living podcast, Zoned Out with Joe and Freddy. Oh, Joe.
Oh, Freddy.
Oh,
Hi.
Joe.
Ow, 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 ow.
You
What are we
don't
going
have
to
to
talk
go.
about? Oh, that was bad swinging.
It was fine. It was fine.
Let's talk something about. Let's talk something about cameras. Maybe a rather unusual. One might say a most unusual camera.
Most. Yeah, this episode's kind of a funny one. It feels to me like this one is kind of one of those classic episodes that's like a big long joke.
Yeah.
Not to say that it is a joke. I'm saying that it is structured like a joke, and that's it's meant to be played, I think, for laughs.
Yeah.
Air date December 16, 1960. This is the first of two episodes directed by John Rich. He's going to return to direct in season 5, A Kind of Stopwatch, which is funny because this is a most unusual camera. And then he's going to do A Kind of Stopwatch. And the story is kind of about these items that do very specific things.
Waiting for a special can of beans.
Yeah.
What's next?
He started in radio. He's best known for he won an Emmy for directing All in the Family, which is a show that if you're our age is considered like one of the gold standard sitcoms. And the Dick Van Dyke Show, the same for that. Some of the best TV.
Wow.
This episode is written by Serling. It's set in a hotel suite and at a racetrack. It has a cast of 8, so it's a nice small affair. You got Chester Dietrich, who is a thief and a burglar, played by Fred Clark. He was born in 1914. He's most known for like slow burn comedic roles. He gained fame in the 50s and 60s as kind of a dour, ill-tempered character, all across film, TV, Broadway. But in his later years, he was in some what people would call like B films, I guess. And then he died in 1968 at the age of 54, so kind of young.
Wow.
This actor, he reminds me of Howard Hessman from WKRP sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paula Dietrich, this is Chester's wife. Jean Carson, she's born Jean Leet, 1923. She was a comedic actress, best known for The Andy Griffith Show, and appearing on a number of shows. She has kind of a signature smoky voice. She had a pretty tough struggle with alcoholism, which a lot of people think limited her career, and she may have otherwise been a big star. She passed away in 2005. She lived to 82, even despite having, an alcohol problem. So good for her. But she had retired in the 80s from acting, so maybe she got her life together.
Yeah.
Woodward, this is Paula's brother that's going to turn up partway through the episode. This is the segment. Did you recognize him, by the way, when he showed up? He's the dude that she picks up in the Hitchhiker episode, the sailor guy.
Oh, man.
The one I said, he reminds me of Peter Boyle, kind of. Yeah, that's that guy, Adam Williams.
The sailor. Okay, the guy who was like, I'm sorry, lady, you're a little too crazy for me.
Yeah, him. So he's playing just kind of a dummy in this episode.
Oh, man, such a dummy.
Yeah.
Such a good dummy.
Then we have the waiter, Pierre, who's going to play into the story as he delivers room service to the hotel. This is the first of 2 appearances by Marcel Hilaire. He's going to come back in the new exhibit in season 4. He was born Erwin Ottmar Hiller in Cologne, Germany. So he's actually German, but he was known for doing French impersonations. So he ended up, playing French characters in this story as an example of that. He began acting in television in 1952. He prior to that, he was a prisoner of the Nazis and had escaped and came to America.
Change a little bit, Freddy.
Oh, yeah, I hear it. Hold on. I have this one chord. Can you try again, Joe?
Yep, I can
There
hear
it
you
is.
now.
Yep. It just decides to freak out on me periodically. But you know that. If you're a longtime listener, you know about my struggles with this one connection. So So he had escaped from Nazi imprisonment and went on to play all these French characters. He's in the classic movie Sabrina, the original Sabrina, not the Harrison Ford Sabrina. And he was in Take the Money and Run. He's going to be important because he's going to translate the phrase that's on the camera later in the episode.
Right.
Because there's just a little phrase on a label.
In French.
Yeah. In French. So this German guy can help you out. This episode was the inspiration for R.L. Stein's Say Cheese and Die, the Goosebumps novel.
Never read that one. I never read any Goosebumps, but I've heard they were very popular.
In a spoiler alert for this episode, all of the named characters, I pulled this from trivia, and I don't think it's accurate, but it says all of the named characters in this episode die. But I would beg to differ. We'll get into that probably at the end of the episode. Unless I miss something. Because the waiter, Pierre, he has a name. Yeah. Well, maybe it happens off screen. It pairs well with Nick of Time, I think. In that it's about the dynamic between a couple and this kind of thing that's out of their understanding or control. And it's just although this one is the much lighter, funnier version of that. And it features a very rare triple on-screen yeeting. Plus a fourth off-screen yeeting, we believe, right?
Right? All the eating. So much eating.
So we'll get right into that story here right after this. All right, Joe.
All right. So let us begin the build up to the eating. So it jumps right into the episode. And what I like about it is it just it starts and the female lead, whose played by Jean Carson, her voice is just, it's awesome. I thought it might be Judy Jetson, like one of with Jetson's voices. It's Paula, playing Paula Dietrich. She's playing Paula, but just a fantastic voice.
You said that. Did you have an attraction to Judy Jetson growing up?
What's that?
Were you attracted to Judy Jetson when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I could tell the way you described the voice.
I'm just, let's not get into that now. So we start with them talking, but we get an intro right off the bat from Mr. Serling. A hotel suite that in this instance serves as a den of crime. The aftermath of a rather minor event to be noted on a police blotter, an insurance claim, perhaps a 3-inch box on page 12 of the evening paper. Small addenda to be added to the list of the loot. A camera, a most unimposing addition to the flotsam and jetsam that it came with. Hardly worth mentioning, really. Because cameras are cameras, some expensive, some purchasable at 5 and dime stores. But this camera, this one's unusual because it, in just a moment, will watch it inject itself into the destinies of 3 people. It happens to be a fact that the pictures that it takes can only be developed in the Twilight Zone.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love a prop version that, like, if you could just make a version of this camera, but it has that yellow underwater thing from the 90s where you could get the waterproof camera, but they're all yellow. It would look terrible. Like cameras used to be like these beautiful, like this is like a really beautiful piece of like antiquity, I guess.
Well, and I wonder if that's just because it was like once everybody started making cameras and they were commoditized or whatever, if they all looked like boxes, and so it was like, oh well, if we make ours look like a fancy box, people want to buy ours. Yeah, because they'll think it takes better pictures. I wonder if that was the whole promotion behind it. Then who knows?
Put a French phrase on there, you're ready to rock and roll.
Les barons, les filles, par l'air bon.
Dix à la propriétaire.
What's that?
That's my that's the lazy way of pronouncing the phrase on the
Oh, yeah.
camera. Dix a la proprietaire.
We'll get to that. So basically, we've got a husband and wife, two thieves, Chester and Paula Dietrich, and they robbed an antique shop. We get a newspaper that basically shows this. They're reading, and they've gotten back to the hotel where they're using it as a hideout, and they robbed a curio shop, and that I found it funny that they were listing out as they were going through the stuff that they stole. The main thief, Chester, or Chet, as he's referred to sometimes, is listing out how they padded the insurance. So the things that they reported were missing wasn't actually as good as it was. So it wasn't actually valuable stuff. They just said it was. And so she would call out something and he would say what it actually was. It was pretty funny. One of the things they talk about, fine silver or something like that, and he goes, surplus U.S. Navy cutlery. It's like, wow, all right.
I like it also kind of illustrates maybe some rationalization and justification on his part for stealing stuff, that they're thieves too, you know?
Right. So that he's like, can't get an honest thief these days. And so he's talking through this stuff, and they're back and forth. Their dialogue is just fantastic, and it's all that language of the time, and so
kind of noirish.
It's really snappy. Yeah. So he's basically dismissing all this stuff as junk, but then they find this camera, and then like, oh, maybe it's cool, and then so he takes a picture of Paula with it, and it generates a self-developing photo. So it's the early Polaroid. And when the photo comes out, she's wearing a fur coat, and they're like, oh, he's trying to, rationalize it. And he's like, it's one of those gag ones, the fur coat's already there. And then when you take the picture, you're in it. And it's like, okay.
Those do exist, but I mean, I had one that had ghosts in the frame.
Oh, did you really?
Mm-hmm. It was a novelty camera you'd get, and when you would develop the film, there was already things printed on the film, and it would be like a surprise what they were. Yeah.
So that's a real thing you had. That's awesome.
Yeah. No fur coats.
And so they start going back and forth, and they're continuing to argue, and he's upset. Chet is upset with the results of the heist, and they're kind of snipping at each other, and he's frustrated that he's having to pay for their fancy room. And they have this great little back and forth, and he goes, did anybody ever tell you you've got a nasty disposition? And she says, if I have a nasty disposition, it's because I'm married to a nickel and dime heister who can't tell a real diamond from a baseball. And then he comes back, and real smooth, he's like, look, baby doll, this suite is $28 a day, delivered and paid for by Mrs. Dietrich's son Chester, on profits collected over a pot full of years when you weren't even in the picture. Matter of fact, I need you like I need a 3-time conviction. Just rattles that out immediately at her. So,
although it somehow still feels playful, like they're back and forth. It feels like they still like each other through the whole back and forth, but ultimately it gets pretty ugly.
Right. Their sniping is kind of part of their play. Who knows? Then they maybe make up and after. So they're digging through one more thing, and he's picking the lock on this chest that they found, and inside he pops it, and it's a fur coat. And so she puts on the fur coat and then goes over and poses again in front of the window. And he's like, wait a second. And so they look at the photo and realize that something's weird's happening with it, right? And so they start trying to rationalize why this happened and how this happened. And so the next thing they do is one of them takes a picture of the door, basically the doorway. And all of a sudden they see a picture of Paula's brother, Woodward, who was in prison. They're like, that couldn't possibly happen. He's in prison, right? And moments later, they hear a knock at the door, and sure enough, there's not Chester, Woodward. He's like, "Hey, I just broke out of prison."
I'm real dumb.
he's got the dumbest voice, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
He's just, "Hey, you guys, just I love it."
Yeah.
There's one of my favorite lines coming up. It made me laugh so hard. I don't know why it got me so much, but so they start talking some more and realize that Chester figures out that it's basically it can take photos of what happens 5 minutes in the future. And so he starts getting really profound, and he's like, you know what? Maybe this is our chance. Maybe this is our chance to really make a gift to humanity with this camera, you know?
Meanwhile, the
We've done all
brother's
this
taking
stuff.
pictures of an empty toilet.
Gross. Okay, so he starts getting really profound, and he's talking to them. This is Chester, and he goes, "I'm going to lay it on the line. What are we?" And he pauses for a second. He's like, "Ask a question. What are we?" And Woodward, he goes, "What are we, Chet? We're people." like what? Don't you get that? We're people. And Chester's like, "Yeah, but what kind of people? We're 3 small-time heisters. Well, now we've finally got something that might do something good for somebody else. Science could use something like this." Woodward, who? He's like, "Science." Like, "Science, you dumbass." Of course, he can't say that, but then he is trying to talk through it. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you find that moment with him is like you feel like, oh, he's a thief maybe with a heart of gold. He wants to do good by the world
Right.
with this thing he found as his first instinct, which is kind of strange. You don't expect that.
He can't think. He's not like sharp enough to think of a way to use it to his own advantage until and so he's professing for science until he overhears Woodward watching the horse races, and he's like, "Wait a minute." And so they're looking at the blank winners board because they don't know who's going to win. And he realizes, oh, if we go to the track, we could take a picture and then we could see what the results are. And so next thing that happens, I think at some point so they go to the horse races, they do the bet, everything works exactly as they planned. They win all this money. And they come back, and they're in their hotel room, and the French waiter comes in, Pierre, and he notices the camera, and he's like, "Oh." And how did you put it, Freddy?
Dix à la propriétaire.
So yeah, he translates that into dix à la propriétaire. I can't even do it in
You
a
were
fake
much
French
closer
accent.
than I was.
Yeah. So 10 to an owner is apparently what that says. And once Chester kind of gets him out, they realize they've taken 8 pictures and they've only got 2 more. So there's only 10 photos to an owner. So as they're trying to argue about what to do with these final 2 pictures, they accidentally are arguing over it, and they take a picture of Paula. And in the picture, she's like terrified and screaming. And they continue to fight. And Chester and Woodward are kind of arguing with each other and fighting over the camera. And they're not actually holding the camera, but they're trying to get into an argument about Chester, I think, thinks that Woodward's intimidating his sister or vice versa. And anyway, they fight, they grapple, and they tumble out the window. And Paula is distraught. Of course, that's the scream. That's the photo. And then calms down and walks over, and she's kind of mourning, and she's really sad. And how can she go on without her Chester and her brother? And then she's realizing she's staring at a table full of money. And she's like,
Yeah.
somehow I will go on. And so as she's I think she goes over to the window, and she's basically like, well, sorry boys, But here's one final photo. So she takes a picture of the the guys down below, which is pretty morbid. True crime. But
she has a podcast.
I should say as a fan, yeah. So they come back, and all of a sudden she's interrupted by Pierre, who comes in, and she's like, "Wait, why are you here?" And he's like, "Oh," he says, I'm come here to pick up some things, like, all this money." And he starts taking the money, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I know all about you." He's like, I saw who you were. I saw the camera, and I know you're criminals, so you're going to let me take all this money. And so she's like, "Wait a minute." And they start kind of arguing. And he's looking at the picture. He's like, "Oh, there's more than 2 bodies down in the courtyard below," which is kind of, I think, intended to be a little bit of a threat. And she goes, "What?" And so she rushes to the window to check and trips on an electrical cord and flips and falls down. And so then he's collecting the rest of the money, and he looks at the picture again, and he's counting the corpses in the picture, and he's like, "Wait a minute, there's 4. And then he somehow off camera, he's kind of shocked and apparently drops the camera and falls out the window somehow. I don't know. That was kind of weird. But then that's the end. He's all 4 of them.
Oh yeah, I meant to say a fourth. Oh yeah, his was an off-screen yeeting.
Yeah,
that's what
he
it was.
Yeeted off screen.
Yeah,
and it was very Reservoir Dogs. Just everyone dies.
Yeah,
so.
That's why I was thinking. I was like, maybe he could have survived it, but it was just that I forgot that he was yeeted off screen.
Yeah, and we get Mr. Serling wrapping up with object known as a camera, vintage uncertain, origin unknown, but for the greedy, the avarice, the fleet of foot, who can run a 4-minute mile so long as they're chasing a fast buck. It makes believe that it's an ally, but it isn't at all. It's a beckoning come on for a quick walk around the block in the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of love these monkey's paw style stories.
Yeah.
And I love it's really all just a variation on that. I don't even know like what inspired the original monkey's paw. I'm sure there's probably some Greek myth.
Right.
That is like the origin of these kinds of stories probably. And I'm just too lazy to look it up right now. But
if you know, write to crew@notop.com.
There you go. Send it on a 5x3 postcard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parents' brains.
Yeah, this one is it's an okay episode. It's not one of my favorites, but the performances it's got some great comic moments in it, and I think that's what makes it stand out. It's a theme.
They're thoroughly in character too. I mean, they nail themselves, and you can tell there's the infighting, and they get along, but they don't quite get along, and it's just kind of that. It's a strong character vibe. And also, like you said, that monkey's paw, always that structure is always like, well, you kind of know something's going to happen and it's not going to work out well. So
yeah, and there's like a phobia throughout, not necessarily from the perspective of the writing, but at least from a lot of the characters, of technology throughout the Twilight Zone is a thing that when people talk about like Black Mirror now. That kind of was still something that was happening in the Twilight Zone. And you don't really think about it because you think of all the spooky stories and the, the ironic ones and everything else that don't really involve like gadgets and technology. But there's enough of them. Like, was it a thing about machines or?
Yes, you machines.
and the dictaphone and all these things that will turn up throughout the series. Sure, they're a little more like esoteric and weird than what you would find like in a Black Mirror episode where there's a little more of a supernatural bent, but it's there. Yeah. It's there as a recurring theme, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, and people are the same all over, just a lot of that stuff where it's like, it doesn't matter the technology, doesn't matter that you're traveling to a different, world or whatever. It's all the same, people are people.
And
I like that messaging.
And we never really understand. We think we know how cameras work, right? Like you're like, yeah, it still seems magical, right? I mean, when you get down to brass tacks.
Right.
Yeah. So it's crazy. It's good. It's a good episode. Not a great episode.
Yeah, it works. It does some fun stuff. Again, if you want to see that the characters with the voices, they have great, dialogue interplay between them, and it's fun for that, if nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. I really don't have much else to say about this one. If you want to, we can talk about what's coming up next week.
Yeah, next week we have got Night of the Meek. Now this is the one that I remember being on video because it's you can tell, you can really tell.
Yeah.
But it's Art Carney. And for those who don't know, if you're of our generation, you may have caught some old Honeymooners episodes on like your upper number channels because they did reruns because they were cheap. But that was Art Carney was Norton, the neighbor of oh God, now Ralph. I can't remember his name.
Ralph,
right. And what was the actual actor's name?
Oh, Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason. Yeah, Jackie Gleason, famous comedic actor from way back.
Yeah, if you've never seen The Honeymooners, you really should check it out. It's kind of the beginning in a lot of ways of the modern sitcom.
Yeah, if you watch that, watch one episode and then watch the Flintstones, and you'll go, wait, they just took this show and made it a cartoon. Basically, yes,
it's
set
exactly
in
right.
Caveman times.
Yeah.
So
and dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. And Simpsons, and basically it set the standard for a whole bunch of those working man type sitcoms. And Art Carney, who plays Santa Claus in this one, or Corwin. We'll get into it next week.
You might know him from the Star Wars holiday special too.
Right.
It's possible. Big open shirt, nice. Art Carney. So we'll get into that next time. Thanks, Joe.
Awesome. Thanks, Freddy.